Hey, what's up YouTube? It's abluegolfball here today with another Pokemon TCG online video, and today what I'm going to be doing is a set review on the Ancient Origins set. And I know I'm just super late to the party. This set already came out last week, and a lot of you guys actually, I've seen personal messages on Facebook, comments saying, hey, are you going to do a set review? And, you know, I really want to do a set review with PokeBeach when they get the English translations, but you know, I decided, you know, the set already came out. I'll just do it on Pokemon TCG Online on the actual game client since all the cards are already there, and why not, right? So we're just going to start from the top and start. I'm going to highlight a number of Pokemon cards that I found interest in, and we're going to walk through them together, starting with based on these set number. So right here, the first Pokemon we're going to take a look at is Vileplume, the 130 HP Grass-type Pokemon with the ability Irritating Pollen. Each player can't play any item cards from his or her hand, and of course Solar Beam, and then 3 retreat costs. It's a Stage 2, which at first glance you think, oh, that's terrible. Stage 2, it's going to be so hard to get them out. But with the stadium, that giant forest plant, stadium, green plant, whatever, you can get Vileplume in turn 1 if you have that stadium. That's just awesome. But at the same time, it's going to be very irritating pollen. Just irritating because you can't play items and your opponent can't play items. But if you do it strategically, you can actually set yourself up with maybe AZ to pick this guy up again, use your item cards, and then just evolve right away, you know, in your same turn. So there's tricks away to get around that, but at the same time, it's going to get pretty annoying dealing with this guy and playing against other TCG online players. Playing with this card is going to be brutal, and I've got to have to find ways to look, you know, to kind of get around this. Here we have Iridos or Potato, Tomato, I don't know. 70 HP, Grass type, and it's got these, you know, again, the benefit of being Grass type and being a Stage 1, you can still evolve in that first turn or in the turn you played it as long as you have that stadium. It's got the ability Poisonous Nest. Once during your turn before you attack, you can use this ability. Both active Pokemon, except for Grass type Pokemon, are poisoned. Now, this actually worked pretty well with Machamp EX, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Impound, you're not going to do that, and it does have 1 retreat, and of course, we are weak to fire. But, you know, this is going to be a really good support Pokemon. We can see it used in a number of different decks just for that Poisonous Nest ability. Next, we have Vespiquen here. A lot of you guys are really excited about this card. I know I've seen a number of requests for this card. Intelligence Gathering does 10, and you can draw until you have 6. So it's basically a setup, but then, you know, it's in a form of an attack. Got Bee Revenge here. This attack does 10 more damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile, which is basically Vengeance from Flareon in Plasma Storm, manifested again, reborn in Vespiquen here with 90 HP and with only 0 retreat. Why did I say only? I don't know. But Flareon had 2 retreat, which is terrible, but very heavy. Whereas Vespiquen does lose 10 HP, but has free retreat, which that 10 HP probably cost that heavy retreat cost. I don't know. You know, come on, Flareon, lose some weight. All right, so again, we have Vespiquen here, also 90 HP. I thought I'd just give this a quick shout out, even though it's not that playable. Yes, you can have 2 tool cards on this guy, but at the end of the day, you know, you can hit for 60 for B Drain and heal for 60, but I just don't really feel like that's really that strong. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, we have Vrizian here, 110 HP. I thought I'd give this an honorable mention because for 2 grass energies, you can actually do prize count. If you have more prize cards left than your opponent, this attack does 80 more damage. So you could be hitting for 120, assuming your opponent took at least 1 prize. Now, there's a lot of grass-weak Pokemon out there. Let's say Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, things like that. You hit for 120, double that, and it's 140, knocking out most those grass-weak Pokemon. So you never know. This could be a nice tech. Only 2 grass energies could be useful. Who knows? And here is Flareon. I already mentioned Flareon from Plasma Storm, but this is the new Flareon here, 90 HP, and only has 1 retreat cost. Each of your Stage 1 Pokemon play is now a Fire Pokemon in addition to its existing types. And so there is a lot of hype around Flareon and these evolution Pokemon being able to kind of abuse this ability and exploit weaknesses in different types. So I look forward to this. I like this card. I think this has definitely a lot of high hopes, a lot of playability perhaps, and maybe gives more, makes it more, Stage 1 Pokemon more viable again. We have Entei here, 120, you know, Fire-type Pokemon, Burning Roar, sure, why not? It does have Combat Blaze, this is why it's on this list. I want to compare it really quick to the Vrizian that we saw earlier with 2 grass energies, potentially being able to hit for 120. This also gives you the ability to hit for a huge amount of attacks for this two of the same type energies. Combat Blaze, of course, can do a little bit more, assuming that your opponent has a full bench, but that's kind of a high and kind of risky. If you're gonna build a deck around this guy, just to cross your fingers that your opponent has a lot of bench Pokemon. Of course, there's things around it like Target Whistle and things like that, but just let's just play along for a little bit. Let's say your opponent has 8 Pokemon on their bench. You can hit this for 180 for Combat Blaze, which is amazing. But at the same time, really only would work against decks that really rely on a full bench and using Sky Field. We have this Entei here, 130 HP, Fire-type Pokemon again. Flame Screen is the attack, what we want to take a look at here with the Ancient Trait Double here, being able to hold on to 2 Tool cards. You can actually put like 2 Hard Charms on this guy, and during your opponent's next turn, any damage done to this Pokemon is reduced by 30, and you hit for 30. So 2 energies hitting for 30, and that's going to be kind of annoying because it's so small. I mean, there's not much there for you, I mean, 30 damage a turn is not that much, but it's a kind of a defensive tactic. If you have 2 Hard Charms on here, it would be reducing by 40 plus a 30 from the attack. That's reducing by 70. And if your opponent wants to one-shot your Entei, they're going to have to hit you for 200 damage, which is pretty cool. But, hitting for only 30 isn't that much. But maybe we'll see this guy. We'll probably take advantage of see what kind of things we can do with Flame Screen and the Entei here. And there, I want to give a brief mention to Valcorona here, 100 HP, Fire-type Pokemon. Solar Birth is kind of interesting and does have some quirks to it. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Then search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to that Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So, it's kind of a setup kind of thing. You can grab a basic and then put 2 energies, kind of energy accelerate a little bit. But the problem with this, it is a stage 1, and it's 100 HP, so it's kind of weak. And yeah, you're going to have to really... the nice thing is it's colorless energy, so you can throw it into any deck, really. And, I don't know. I don't know how I feel too much about it. Maybe you can work some way around it. But we'll hopefully see a deck in the future with this guy. And here we have Gyarados, 130 HP, evolves from Magikarp. Berserker Splash could be kind of interesting. And also Aqua Tail, we have... some potential there. Flip a coin for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 30 more damage for each heads. The base attack is 90, so if you flip at least 1 heads, you're already doing 120. For 4 energy, it's kind of like, ho hum, but you are dedicating water energy on this guy, and so, it's kind of a risk. But, maybe we'll see I might build a budget deck out of this. I'm not sure. We do have this Gyarados here, which is the Ancient Trait one. And, again, you can have 2 Pokemon Tool cards attached to it. Full Retaliation is an interesting attack and something that we may potentially be focusing on in a future video. This attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter on each of your benched Magikarp. And doing the math really quick, you can only have up to 3, really, because if you already have 1 Gyarados doing this attack, you can only have 4 total, so there's only really 3 Magikarp available to you, assuming you don't evolve them. And if each of the 3 have just, 20 damage, right, because it's only 30 HP, you're going to be hitting for, 20, 20, and 20... a lot of damage. Now, the point is this. There's such things as Crobat and Golbat out there, and they can easily snipe your Magikarp. So you better be watchful of that. And I think this deck can only be useful in scenarios where you're just kind of building a deck for fun. What we have next is Vaporeon, 90 HP, Aqua Effect. Again, very similar to Flareon. Changing your Stage 1 Pokemon to a Water-type Pokemon as well as its existing types. So if you have an Evolution deck, you're really giving giving yourself a lot of opportunity to cover a lot of different type weaknesses, which is pretty cool. And so we'll probably see Vaporeon as well as the other evolutions in a deck someday, hopefully soon. That way we can have some fun with taking advantage of Stage 1 Pokemon and different types. What we have here is Regice, the 120 HP water Pokemon again. Technically, it's an ice Pokemon, Iceberg Pokemon. Ice Beam, sure, why not? You can paralyze them, but Resistance Blizzard is pretty cool, hitting for 70, and then you can prevent all effects and attacks, and damage done to this Pokemon from Pokemon EX. And basically, we've seen this manifested in Suicune and Sigilyph, and also we've seen this manifested in Hippowdon. But we get to see this in Regice, and it hits for a base attack of 70, which is okay. Hippodon had the flexibility of using things like, Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, whereas Regice, we can only kind of depend on Muscle Band and potentially mismatches and type weaknesses to hit for 1 KOs. But that's it for Regice. Here he is. Here is Jolteon, the 90 HP lightning type Pokemon. It is a rare and it does have free retreat, so this kind of makes it a little bit better than the other two, but same ability. Changes your stage 1 Pokemon to lightning types. Now, what I do want to mention about these abilities that these evolutions have, the difference between Flareon and the other two is that Flareon, the fire type, we don't really know too many Pokemon that has fire type resistance, whereas there are some Pokemon that do have lightning and water resistance. So that's something we gotta worry about and maybe consider. If we do have all these type weaknesses, we will also have a lot of type resistances, and so you kind of have to keep that in mind. We do have Unknown here, Farewell Letter. I thought, this is kind of a fun card, especially works really well for Night March and the Vespiquen decks. So look to see this in the future video for Vespiquen and stuff like that, and also Night Marchers. Perhaps I'll do a revisit to the Night March deck as well. And here we have Baltoy, the 60 HP Psychic type Pokemon with the ability, or not the ability, the Ancient Trait to stop all of your opponent's abilities done in this Pokemon. Now, I only mention this because this Pokemon card is not great by any means, but I only mention this because you can see on the screen, Dylan Grubb took the challenge on my booster box opening, or not booster box opening, but my pack opening on TCG Online, and I was able to get 22 of these. However, he has 25 of these Ancient Trait ones and 23 non-Ancient Trait ones. He even has a whole bunch in real life. You can see there on the images below. Oh my goodness, that is incredible. And so he took the challenge, and challenge was accepted. So congrats, shout out to Dylan Grubb for taking the challenge and reaching out to me and showing me his collection of these ball toys. So there you go. Thanks so much for doing that, sir. And next we have Golurk here, the 130 HP Psychic type Pokemon. It also has the Ancient Trait Stop as well, preventing abilities. So that means if you run into Garbodor, it wouldn't shut down this guy's ability, I don't believe. And this guy has the ability to double type as long as this Pokemon is in play. It is a Psychic and Fighting type. And if you can imagine teaming this up with Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon, this guy's a stage 1, so now he has multiple different types and covers a multitude of different weaknesses, and also perhaps even resistance, which would be a bummer, right? Because there's a lot of different things that can resist Psychic type, a lot of different things that can resist electric or water types. You never know. Superpower. All right, you can do 40 more damage if you do this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself, but since it has resistance to itself, maybe that would undo it. I don't know. You can also add things like Strong Energy, you can use Fighting Stadium, all that stuff would apply to Golurk, which is really cool. However, if you do that, I think with Strong Energy and Muscle Band, you do weakness, you'd still hurt yourself, I think. Right? Even with the resistance? I don't know. We'll find out. Post in the comments below if I need to be corrected. Next, we have here Regirock, the 120 HP Fighting type Pokemon. I only mention this because Unyielding Rock, if your opponent is active Pokemon, is a Pokemon EX, it does 60 more damage, which is basically the same thing as Bouffalant from way back in Drags Exalted. You can hit for 120, and if you have Strong Energy, Fighting Stadium, and whatnot, and Muscle Band, yeah, you can hit for a lot of damage on a Pokemon EX, which could be pretty good. I don't know. I'm not sure. We have the Metagross here, 150 HP, Magnetic Warp. It's basically an inverse escape rope. And basically what you do is you switch your Pokemon and they switch their Pokemon. And Iron Cannon, yeah, I guess you can discard all Metal Energy and hit for another 80. And then with Muscle Band, you can hit for 180. Which, you can knock out most EXs. And Magnetic Warp can help with that heavy retreat cost as well, right? So there's certain things we can still do, and it works real well if you can get this guy set up with Bronzong, and Magnetic Warp can help you power up things on the bench, and if you got a switch or you have something with a light retreat, you just retreat back. So never know. All right, so we have this Metagross here with 150 HP as well. It's also have the ability, the trait to have 2 tool cards. Now, Machine Gun Stomp is going to be pretty fun, as long as your opponent is in play. If you're in expanded, if they play like Hugh or later on a card that's going to be reprinted from way back then is called Judge, and scenarios like that, or even red card, can really stop Machine Gun Stomp from being as powerful as it can be. But you never know either. If you have 10 cards in your hand, you can hit for 120 for only 2 energies, which is kind of the same thing as, a lot of other Pokemon that can hit for 120 with, I don't know, maybe. But of course, it's kind of the risk you take, having a lot of cards in your hand. Especially with N being around in expanded format, at least you won't have to deal with that in the standard format. But there's also Ace Trainer, things like that, and Guard Press. I don't really see that happening either. It's too heavy, too much of a investment to do that right there. Registeel here, 120 HP, Iron Head, flip a coin to get tails. Sure, why not? But Forbidden Iron Hammer, that's again the same thing with the other Regis. Minus the Regirock. But Regice has the same thing, hit for 70, and then your Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon EX can't do anything. I thought I'd give this an honorable mention because you never know. This could be a really nice tech card in metal decks, especially with the metal energy acceleration from Bronzong. Could work pretty well. We have Gardevoir here, 130 HP, fairy type Pokemon. I mean, bright heal, sure, why not? Yeah, I don't think so. This is a stage 2. There's really not much support except for Wally to kind of accelerate it a little bit. You can heal 20, but this is almost like Superior from Black and White base set, healing 10 damage in between turns. It's not. No, I don't think it's as good. You have to be on your turn to heal 20 damage. You're not doing it in between turns, meaning that poison damage can still accumulate, and based on things that poison damage can work between phases, even if you heal, you bright heal, that poison damage is there, and then I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't know if I love it. Basically, that's all I'm saying. Porygon Z here, 130 HP, Cyber Crush, sure, why not? You can discard all special energies. If your opponent has play special energies, then darn. But slowing beam during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attack costs 1 more colorless energy. Now, this actually could be pretty interesting if you can combine that with something like what is that? Team Flare Grunts, jamming net and not jamming net, but oh man, what is that called? I'm losing my mind here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That forces them to play 1 more energy, and then this slowing beam makes them play 1 more energy. Headringer. That's what. Oh my goodness, I can't even remember Headringer. Okay, so it's a stage 2 though. That's the problem with Porygon Z. Stage 2, kind of difficult to get out, and I don't know if I really like that. But another Porygon Z here again with the ancient trait Stop and preventing abilities. Sure, why not? Digital Reboot can be pretty cool, but it's stage 2. It's still kind of hard to get out. Could work really well with, let's say for example, Crobats, right? Bat lines. Dazzle Blast, I don't see this happening either for DCE, I guess so, but I don't know. Stage 2s, with lack of support in these stage 2s, it's hard to get them out. I'm just not convinced. For the EXs, here we go. We have Sceptile EX, 170 HP. Unseen Claw is a really good attack in of itself for 1 grass and 1 colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon is already affected by a special condition, this attack does 70 more damage. With Muscle Band, you can be hitting for 150 plus poison damage in between turns. After it gets back to your turn, that's 170. That's a knockout, assuming they can't retreat or switch or something like that. This could be really good, just being a Sceptile deck on its own without evolving to Mega Sceptile. 220 HP, Grass-type Pokemon. Again, it's got the ability Stop. And, Jagged Saber is okay. All right, I can see there's potential here. 1 grass, 1 colorless. You may attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. Oh, well, all right, it's in your hand, so, you gotta have 2 energies in your hand. I don't know. I feel like Battle Compressor and Mega Manectric EX works a little bit more. I think it might work better, but you never know. Professor's Letter can get you 2 energies really quick, or you can even have Energy Retrieval can get you 2 energies really quick. So I can see this being very useful in that kind of sense. If you attach an energy to a Pokemon in this way, heal all damage from that Pokemon. That is pretty cool. To be able to heal a lot of damage off at once is amazing. and simply just attaching an energy using this attack, hitting for 100. So that's no pushover either. 100 damage, you can still knock out most EXs in 2 hits, and I don't know, definitely a lot of potential there. Being able to heal is pretty sweet. We have Kyurem EX here. A lot of people have given this a lot of just, I don't know. I haven't seen too many people favor this guy. And Glaciate here, 30 damage. This, the same thing as the non-EX Kyurem, the second attack next to Outrage. Ice Caliber can be, sure, okay. Ice Caliber, 4 energies. That's quite a bit. You discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. The Pokemon can't attack during your opponent's next turn. Alright, so you got to continue to cycle energies to get this attack to be useful. But I mean, it's only 1 energy, and but still, 4 energies. You gotta be playing in expanded to use Blastoise. I could see that happening, and potentially locking your opponent somehow. But I don't know. I think this could be something. I don't know. Maybe I'll build a deck around him in the future. Who knows? We have Ampharos EX, the 170 HP Lightning Pokemon. Thunder Rod. Oh, sure. Why not? Okay. Sparkling Tail. Oh, that's a weird name. This attack, the damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or any other effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if you're playing an expanded format and you're up against Suicune or Sigilyph, you can actually use Sparkling Tail. Okay. All right. It's a heavy energy cost. 2 lightning and 2 colorless. That's ridiculous. Unless you're really desperate, don't use this attack. And Mega Ampharos EX, 220 HP. Exavolt. Okay. All right. Hit for a 120. You may do 50 more damage and leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. Oh, that's kind of nice. If you do, this Pokemon does 30 damage to itself. Oh, that's not that nice. But if you leave him paralyzed, I mean, sure, that's yeah. But for 4 energies, again, this is quite costly. I don't know how I feel about this, but definitely still something you can, worth building around and maybe doing some tinkering and getting it to work, especially in expanded format with those electric eels and stuff like that. You can probably muster something up creative with Mega Ampharos. So here we have Hoopa EX, a lot of hype around this guy. We have Scoundrel Ring. One, you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench. You can search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon EX, except for Hoopa EX, of course. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. So that means an Ultra Ball immediately becomes a Hoopa into a Shaman into 2 other EXs, which is, wow, you fill up your bench and draw cards. That's insane. That's awesome. Now, what works even better is if, you use Ultra Ball, maybe Hoopa could work really well in like a Mega Rayquaza deck. Let's say you have a Rayquaza EX on the bench already, and I don't know, there's a whole bunch of combinations, right? Maybe you don't have a you don't have a Rayquaza EX. Maybe all you have is something with Free Retreat in the active spot, and you play Hoopa EX, and you have a Spirit Link in your hand for Rayquaza. All you need to do is get the Mega Rayquaza, and then you get the Shaman EX. Bam! You can just play that down, Ancient Trait, evolve right away, play Shaman, draw into more cards, and look at that. You already got more Pokemon into your bench, draw into more things, and you're pretty much just getting yourself set up for victory. So Hoopa EX can be used for, let's say, expanded formats. For example, if now you can actually get 3 Deoxys for Lugia EX, so you can play Speed Lugia again and power up your Team Plasma Pokemon. That's just pretty cool. All right, so enough of that. We have Machamp EX here, 180 HP, Steaming Mad. Is a fun name, but the Crazy Hammer attack is going to be pretty cool. If this Pokemon is affected by a special condition, this attack does 80 more damage. Then remove all special conditions from this Pokemon, assuming he's not paralyzed or asleep. So that means he can only be burned, confused, or poison. Okay, I said it. So we can actually combine this with the arrows that we saw earlier, and we can actually hit a Crazy Hammer for a ton of damage, which would be pretty cool, and I look forward to that. So we have Tyranitar EX here, 180 HP, Darkness Pokemon. Hammer in, okay, sure, we've seen that before. 3 energy, 60 damage, sure, why not? Break Ground, alright, so this is 130. This attack does 10 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. Sure. If you're very desperate, why not? You can actually just pull this off and perhaps make it happen. What we want to focus on here is the Mega Tyranitar EX, the 240 HP Darkness Pokemon. Now, really quick, I want to mention again with the Tyranitar EX, break ground is still pretty decent. 130 for 4 energy is pretty costly. It does have 4 retreat costs, but again, 130 can knock out most of the non-EX big, heavy guys. Yeah, I'm just saying. But here is Mega Tyranitar again with the double trait. Better watch for those double head ringers. That would be insanely annoying. But Destroyer King can hit for a ton of damage. This attack does 60 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Can you imagine if you're dealing with a Wailord EX, and the Wailord EX, you're playing expanded, and the Wailord EX has, let's say the Wailord EX has a Team Plasma badge as well as 4 Umbreons. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's 80 more damage, so 80 more HP. That would make it 330 HP. And let's say you got this Wailord EX all the way down to 10 HP, so that's 320 HP. That's this is ridiculous, but if you can imagine that amount of that kind of attack, that would be pretty cool. But anyways, Giratina EX, your Renegade Pulse, prevent all effects of damage and attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by Mega Evolution Pokemon. Okay. Interesting, but the problem with this is if you're playing the Giratina EX and you're up against a deck that uses Mega Pokemon, they actually don't need to play their Mega, and Renegade Pulse would be rendered useless. Chaos Wheel as well, alright, so for 100 damage, also 4 energy, your opponent can't play any tool cards, Pokemon tools, special energy, or stadium cards from his or her hand during his or her next turn. So I heard a lot of hype over this guy, especially combining it with Vileplume and preventing our opponent from playing item cards and tools and energy, special energies and stadiums. They can still play supporters, but yeah, Chaos Wheel, hit for 100, 4 energy. This is a pretty neat effect. Sure, why not? I think this could be something of use and could see some play. So I look forward to seeing other decks that you guys build, as well as some decks that I'll build myself. So we'll look forward to that. And here is a card that everyone's hyping over, and Lugia EX, 170 HP, colorless Pokemon. The reincarnated Mewtwo EX with X-Ball. Euro Ball hits for 20 and 20 more damage times the number of energy cards attached to both you and your opponent's active Pokemon, which is the same thing as X-Ball. Deep Hurricane is 80 plus 70, and then you discard a stadium card. You have to have a stadium card to do the 70 more damage. Yeah, okay. You can hit for 150 plus Muscle Band. 4 energies is quite a bit. And that's almost like Donphan's attack. But I don't know how I feel about that. 2 retreat costs was pretty heavy. Lightning Weak and Fighting Resistance. Again, the difference between Mewtwo EX and Lugia EX here is there's no type weaknesses, so you can't take advantage of that. And strictly being just an Euro Ball and kind of just existing to, be a tech card in some Pokemon. But, you can still try to build a deck around this guy. You never know. That can happen, too. And last of all, for the Pokemon, we have the reprints of these two guys, the Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre EX. These guys are reprinted here as secret rares. These are the shiny versions of them, Tidal Storm and Gaia Volcano. I'm not going to talk too much about them. The ancient traits are changed here. They have this max. When one of your Pokemon becomes this Pokemon, heal all damage from it. I don't know if I like that very much. I actually prefer their original traits. So, I don't know, that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And on to the trainers, we have Ace Trainer. This is basically the replacement for N. Each player shuffles his or her hand into the deck. You draw 6, your opponent draws 3. You can only play this if your opponent has more prize cards, if you have more prize cards left than your opponent. So, this is kind of that condition. I can't see this being played more than 2, maybe 3. But I do like the art. This is Ken Sugimori's art, so I always really enjoyed Ken Sugimori's art. But yeah, so that's it for Ace Trainer. We have Eco Arm here, shuffling 3 Pokemon tools. Here's a little hard charm, and we see this recycling label there. That's kind of fun too. That's a lot of trash. I wonder if you can see Junk Arm in here, huh? Anything else you guys see? I don't know. Okay, so we got Energy Recycler. We've seen this before in the past, being able to shuffle that 5 energies. I kind of wish they just got back, brought back Super Rod, but which they will. They will be bringing that back. Hopefully in the next set, I believe that's going to be where it's coming back. And we have Faded Town. This is the stadium here in this set. Anytime between turns, put 2 damage counters on a Mega Evolution Pokemon. And the thing is, again, I don't see this card being played too much unless you really hate Megas. I mean, we could see this being used for Mega Tyranitar, but then you're hurting yourself too. I don't know. I can't see it. Plus, you know, if you really don't like Megas and you're playing against someone that uses Megas, and you play this this Faded Town, if they didn't evolve yet, they could just opt not to evolve ever and not have to deal with it until they get their stadium. So there's that. We have the Forest of Giants Plants. This is the one I was talking about. This has got a lot of hype over this. Being able to evolve right away is super awesome. Grass-type Pokemon has a huge boost and viability from this stadium card. So we should see a lot more Fire Pokemon in play just because of the stadium and just because of the abundance of Grass-type Pokemon. We have Hex Maniac here. A lot of people talking about this card. Being able to shut down abilities for 1 turn is pretty valuable, and being able to shut down your opponent's ability is something that's going to be pretty cool. But it only happens really during your opponent's turn. You don't really want to shut down your abilities during your own turn, and so that means you should probably use your abilities, do whatever you can first, and then play Hex Maniac and shut down your opponent's abilities. So I could see this being played, maybe 1, maybe 2 copies, but with VS Seeker, you can always use this multiple times anyways. We have Level Ball, the beloved ball here, finally is back, being able to search for a Pokemon 90 HP or less. So really happy to have this back into the standard format. Lucky Helmet, yeah, okay, you know, every time you get hit, even if you get knocked out, you get to draw 2 cards, so being able to draw into cards is always really valuable, and something that, hey, I think we can take advantage and try to abuse some things from this card as well. We have Lysander reprinted here, so that way, once the format rotates, I believe Flashfire would get chopped off on the rotation next year after the 2015-2016 season, but you never know either. So with Lysander here reprinted again, the full art Lysander would still be viable and playable in the next year, 2016-2017 season, and that'll be pretty good. We have Paint Roller here, discard any stadium card in play, then draw a card. Sure, alright, if you really don't like stadium cards, and you want to play a couple of these, because, okay, yes, every deck will play stadium cards, and why not be a little bit annoying and use Paint Roller? We have Steven here, the full art of this set for supporters, and I was a little disappointed we didn't get a full art for Ace Trainer or Hex Maniac, but, you know, Steven was printed in Roaring Skies, and, you know, search your deck for a supporter card and a basic energy card, reveal them, put them into your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. Okay, alright, so you can play this and get a basic energy and, you know, and a supporter. It'd be a lot stronger if it was search for a special or any energy card. That would be super awesome. That would be a really good supporter card. But it's a basic, and, you know, you're kind of burning your supporter for that turn to get another supporter, which, you know, I don't know. I would give this maybe a 6 out of 10. I don't know. What about you guys? Maybe you guys really like Steven. I don't like it that much, but I'll probably have him in my deck, perhaps. We have Energy Retrieval reprinted as a secret rare, and again, this could be really useful in a multitude of decks, and so I don't see the price of this card being too high. We do have Trainer's Mail here, which I really like, and definitely a staple in a lot of my decks. So I look forward to trying to get a couple more of these into my collection as well. So Trainer's Mail is also a really nice secret rare. And for the energies, let's take a look at this really quick. And there's really only 2 energies here. There's the Flash energy, and basically you don't have any weakness, which is okay, you know, for lightning Pokemon. Okay, sure. But if you're playing with Manectric EX and Mega Manectric EX, I would assume you don't play this because you won't be able to get it back since it's special energy. Perhaps you can use this for, I don't know, a Raichu deck. I'm not sure. We do have the Dangerous Energy, and again, I don't really see this too much in play besides for Mega Tyranitar. And again, we have to take notice that it's only for EX Pokemon that it really works on. So if your opponent isn't playing EXs and they hit you, Dangerous Energy won't do anything for you. It's just a special energy that could get easily discarded by Enhanced Hammer. And those are some considerations for you if you want to play Dangerous Energy. But I don't know. Maybe I'll play it too. we'll have to find out. So that's it for this set review. And it was kind of a long video. I apologize, but I know you guys wanted a set review from me, and I haven't done one yet, and it's already been out for like a week now or whatever. And so yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on this set and some things that you like about it. And if there's some cards I didn't highlight, only certain cards I wanted to touch on, and if there's some cards I missed and you want me to comment on, post them below and I'll take a look at them again. And yeah, so you guys all take care. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching the video, giving it a thumbs up and liking it, and please do subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.